make a daytime video. I like how they come out. Let's talk about, or let me talk about, and I'd like to know your opinions too, guys, and share your experiences for sure, on vitamin D. Again, these things are just so important for health. They really are. Vitamin D, hormone D. Hormones are, really, because it affects the system way more powerfully than just a vitamin. Mislabeled a vitamin when it's a hormone, but it's got the label, so we call it vitamin D. Now, the question of the masses is that vitamin D is vital to prevent rickets and vital for health, but that's all it's vital for. And this is incorrect to think that, and it's a wrong focus to think that it's just good for the bones, vitamin D, and it's just for this reason that everyone should focus on it. No. You should focus on vitamin D and making as much as possible, because it seems to affect every single part of the human fucking body. And this being one of the key reasons, and I've said this before, and I'm sure you guys are aware of this, is that every single cell of your body has a vitamin D receptor. Is that a coincidence? No, it's because every single cell of your body needs the vitamin D receptor, because it needs the vitamin D to activate and turn on the genes. And when the the vitamin D that you make, ideally from the sun, although I do know like food is not enough. I don't care. Like, food is not enough. Picking up a little bit, I can tell. But however you get it in, every single cell has a vitamin D receptor, and it needs that vitamin D from the sunlight, ideally, or supplements, to get into the bloodstream. The liver converts it, and then we've got people say scientists used to think that it was just from the kidneys that activated it. It went into the bloodstream, then the kidneys converted it into vitamin D. Than that, and the ones that it still does that, the kidneys do convert. It gets into the blood, the kidneys convert it into activated vitamin D. Now that vitamin D is a special vitamin D constantly produced. That makes the bones, and it goes towards calcium absorption in the intestines. So it improves calcium absorption, and it regulates bone metabolism. Regulates calcium metabolism absorption, and it's for the bones, that one. But now we know that vitamin D in the bloodstream, actually, vitamin D gets activated within each cell of the body, so the cells can produce it themselves. So it make its own vitamin D. Your pancreas can make its own vitamin D. Your lungs can make its own vitamin D. Your spleen can make its own vitamin D. Your intestines can make its own vitamin D. Your skin can make its own vitamin D. Everything can. And when it does, when the cells in these organs make the vitamin D, it gets used, it gets hit into the vitamin D receptor within that organism. So within the pancreas, for example, the vitamin D gets hit into the vitamin D gets hit into the pancreas, and what it does, it increases insulin production. So now you have blood sugar levels better. And then once it hits the vitamin D receptor in the pancreas, the vitamin D gets once it's used, doesn't go back into the bloodstream. It gets killed. I can't remember the word for it. When something gets killed, it's got a special word, but that's what happens to it. So therefore, it gets made within the cells outside of the kidney one that bone health. You attach the vitamin D receptor within the cells of pretty much everything of your body, and then it used, attached to the vitamin D receptor, and then it gets killed. So therefore, you'll never know that it's being used. This is why it took science a long time to realise that there's a lot more to vitamin D than just bone health. You know, they started discovering shit like, oh, it can actually cure cancer, because in vitro they would take a test tube of, like, say, liver cancer or say colon cancer, and they'd put a vitamin D next to the colon cancer and watch as the colon cancer would D. Just it's a cancer killer. That's one great area for the mainstream. I don't think we need to worry too much about cancer, although we should be trying to prevent it too. But I mean, for people that are in not looking after their health and actually do have cancer, vitamin D is a great focus, because it seems to attack every single type of cancer and prevent it. It does it in many ways. Whereas cancer, they say one angle of cancer is a cell mutation, abnormal. The vitamin D, what it does is it restores the function of the cells, so it stops them. What is it when those cells? I can't think of the words right now. When the cells are corrupted and mutate wrongly in cancer and proliferate like crazy, the vitamin D corrects that back to normal. And also, the vitamin D cuts the blood supply to the tumours too. It's got a lot of things going for it. So it attacks cancer, whichever cancer you've got or is coming up. And technically, we have it every single day. Even with us in the health community, it's impossible not to. But it prevents the cancer big time by doing that function. It's got multiple angles. Now, the problem is when you do get cancer, then the vitamin D receptors become ineffective. The cancer's so smart that it will inactivate the vitamin D and make it less effective. So really, vitamin D is a cancer preventative. It's not so much once you've got cancer stage 2, 3, 4, you can use vitamin D, because at that point you're fucked. But as a preventative, which is where that's a great one to focus on. What's it for? Like, these are the things that I focus on personally. I make vitamin D every day. It's nearly the longest day in the year, June 20th. I think that's for the whole of the northern hemisphere, if I'm correct. So at this point, the UVB is at its peak potential. The sun is highest in the sky. It's the sun is closest to where I am at the northern latitude in the UK. So between the hours of 10 and 3, especially 1 o'clock, there's a high amount. So I'm making a lot. And these are bone health. It also increases muscle potential as a consequence of bone health going up. The neuromusculature system is just one and the same, really. You increase the density of the bones and strength, you're also going to increase the muscle function. So the muscles go up, you can exercise harder. So that is actually a great focus area of bones, risk of fractures, just being stronger within your body, getting more out of your exercise potential, all that stuff, doing longer yoga, better yoga, that's fine. But there's way more to it than that. It increases insulin production, so it increases capacity of the pancreatic beta cells. So now you can handle more food as designed by nature without your blood sugar levels rising too high, even if you're eating a lot of foods you shouldn't, or even if you're eating too much sugar. You can handle it a lot better because you've got a lot of vitamin D, which is hitting the vitamin D hits the vitamin D receptors in the pancreatic beta cells, so it increases insulin sensitivity and increases insulin production. Now, I'm blessed, and I know this is very powerful, what I just said there, in lowering blood sugar levels. I do urine therapy, so if I eat a lot of sugar, right, and refined sugar too, normally that will come out, or cooked foods, normally that will come out as a bad tasting in my urine, but what I've noticed is if I go and get 2 hours of solid peak time lately, if I get 2 hours of vitamin D production, what will happen is that supposedly nasty tasting urine is actually not nasty at all. So I know that it's definitely sensitivity, vitamin D specifically. Although I think UVB does too separately. UVB's got its benefits outside of vitamin D, but I think it's the vitamin D. So that's crazy to think about, that you can undo a lot of damage from wrong eating, but also really up the digestive system, increase insulin sensitivity, increases fasting insulin levels too. So when you're fasting, my God, you're activating a lot of powerful things with vitamin D. It's a great focused area. Probably my favorite is mood. Vitamin D receptors. It's a major mechanism for mood enhancement. There's a lot of things going on with mood enhancement I've got opinions on, like a lot of things we can do for our health, but one of my favorites, I think always will be, and I knew this from before, but now I'm coming to again, is that it really does boost your mood, like vitamin D specifically. That midday UVB vitamin D production really does. The vitamin receptors hit the brain, light up, I don't know what's going on there. Is it lighting up serotonin, your happiness neurotransmitters? But what I notice with me is I become the best expression of my personality. So therefore, be more funny, witty, or compassionate, or empathetic, or wherever I need to be in that situation for other people, to activate my best potential, to connect better with other human beings. I find it really helpful to be in that mode, because I always want to connect with people and be the best self around other people. That's why we're here, right? Isn't it? To be the best selves of ourselves, not just for ourselves, because we need there's no point being your best self for yourself if there's no reflection to the person. by the way, I think that's why consciousness created a duality-based system, one consciousness. Because if you're just one consciousness, how can you see your work of art? You can't. You have to create a duality-based system. Same with, like, me. Like, you know, why do I want to activate the best expression of my personality? Is it just so I can be by myself and think my thoughts? No, so I can activate it around other people so I can see the reflection of how awesome I am, if you want to put it like that, or how good I'm becoming from other people. That's why we interact with humans, by the way. We can see our potential through other people. It's not selfish at all, is it? So, mood is huge, and this is how to get rid of depression. There's loads of ways I know of, and you guys know of, to remove depression. But a huge one is vitamin D. I also find myself, my imitations, by the way, go up a lot. My jokes, funniness, and imitations, and wit and humour goes up big time. These are not my strong points anyway, if I'm being honest. But they do tend to spike these things with vitamin D. So I do love it and obsess over it, and it's great. Let me think. So cells too, vitamin D activates your white blood cells have vitamin D receptors. So basically your immunity goes up big time. Your immunity goes up big time with vitamin D focus. Really important. You're not going to get diseases. You're going to prevent diseases if you've got them. Even outside, if we say that cancer can't be... One got to say that it negates a little bit. But what we can say is it does boost immunity. So definitely on that factor. Oh, another one. Heart health. Huge. Let's talk about heart health. What is it? World's biggest killer. Number 1 or number 2 is heart attacks. Problems is huge. People getting heart attacks and heart problems is very, very big. Well, guess what? Heart muscle has vitamin D receptors. So what it does is when you increase your vitamin D levels, you are strengthening your heart muscles. Your heart muscles become stronger. And you want a strong heart. You don't want a weak heart, right? Because a weak heart's going to lead to disease. This is your heart, the thing that pumps the blood, your lifeblood around the body. You want it to be strong. Ultimately, it's the heart that kills us, isn't it? Like, the heart stops beating, you're dead. So you want a strong heart. Well, if you want a strong heart, focus on vitamin D. Studies show that people with high vitamin D levels get less heart attacks. And studies also show that a lot of people that have why they have heart attacks is because they have low vitamin D levels. Because the heart needs to be big time for its optimization and optimal function. And that's why we're here. We're talking about optimal function. I'm not talking about basic shit, really. I'm not really talking to people that worry about heart attacks at 30, 40, but it's true. Nonetheless, you will prevent heart attacks. You have a strong heart. You want a strong fourth chakra, right? Open heart center. Well, great focus vitamin D for that one too. Also, your blood pressure. You'll find that vitamin D focus will lower your blood pressure. What does high blood pressure mean? High blood pressure equals stress, equals anger, equals poor emotions, lack of empathy, all these kind of problems with high blood pressure. Well, the blood vessels have vitamin D receptors. When the vitamin D hits the vitamin D receptors, it relaxes and dilates the blood vessels. Therefore, your blood pressure goes down. Your best version of yourself lies with a low blood pressure, because that means homeostasis and calm. So vitamin D will be another key focus for that one too. I love it for the blood pressure thing. I definitely feel calmer. And the mood thing. There's so many things with vitamin D going on that make you feel fucking awesome. I just named some. Maybe science is going to find like 10 times more. It's fucking crazy. So yeah, you've got the improved heart function. It's not just strong muscles with the heart. I've just forgotten some of the stuff I've learned. I'm just telling you this stuff off the top of my head. There's a lot more to do with the heart. It's not just one thing with the heart. It's like 20 things that it does with the heart. So the blood pressure goes down. Also, it increases production of the hormone renin, which, if I'm trying to remember correctly, it regulates water metabolism it's made in the kidneys. And that also lowers your stress and reduces blood pressure too. So renin look into for extra stuff. It does something. It activates renin, the hormone in a there's a hormone system called the anin-reg, hormone system or something. I can't remember off the top of my head. But it's doing a lot of things. It's like an anti-stress. This is how I look at it. Vitamin D is anti-stress, major happiness, major health, and it's just one thing and one focus area. And it does a lot of things. It's the one, isn't it? Like, we always look for the one. Yeah, instead of lots of little things, focus on just one thing. Well, there we go. Vitamin D, UV activation. That's pretty much it. I mean, there's a lot of just one things, but vitamin D is going to be one, and it's It's a problem if you live in Europe, northern climates, even USA, parts of it, because we don't produce it from September, October, November, January, February, because of this. Our dynamics are wrong. This is why people say that people living in the tropics, we should move to the tropics. This is why people in the health community talk about moving to the tropics, because we can't make vitamin D at certain points in the winter. It's possibly why I'm going to move out to at some point, and I will, because of this. I'm going to get a UVB machine and test that one out. It's going to be quite expensive, but I'm okay. I'll be doing it whilst I'm living here, so that's going to be interesting too, to find out, to see if it activates vitamin D. I'll definitely know from my body feel whether it is activating vitamin D, because it kicks in really quick. You can be out for 5 minutes, just have your arms and your legs exposed, even just your knees, and you'll feel a difference. It's crazy activation power. Should be committed to daily, especially in these peak times, whilst we can make it, because 6 months before we can't too. A quick one on vitamin D2 is, I've said this before, if you're obese and fat, it's a cause of concern that you need more vitamin D. You have to supplement, because the sun won't be enough, because your fat stores, which if you're obese and fat, you've got a lot of fat, unfortunately, stuck in the fat cells, because it's fat soluble, and when it gets stuck there, that's nature's way of putting it on reserve, yeah, for when you lose weight. But the problem is, obese and fat people generally don't lose weight, so they're going to keep those vitamin D in the fat cells, and that means it can't get activated into the bloodstream where it's needed to be converted into by the cells on the liver and all that stuff. So it's of concern. I'm trying to help people that are like also obese, right? One of the reasons I would lose weight if I was obese, one of the major reasons for me, is my vitamin D is just not getting amped up, and if I was fat and obese, because it's getting stuck in the layers because I'm not losing weight, and therefore as a fat obese person with low vitamin D, my bone health would be for shit, right? And therefore because my bones are for shit with low vitamin D because I'm too fat, my muscles would be for shit too, because therefore if my muscles are for shit too, I'll feel painful for me to exercise as a fat person. This is a huge reason I just nailed why fat people have pain in their body when they exercise, by the way. They find it hard to exercise. It's painful to their body and their bones and muscles. It's because fat people have every fat person, pretty much, has low vitamin D as a result of being fat. And that low vitamin D fucks up their bone health, because, as we know, vitamin D is for bone health. It's essential for bone health, because bones are made of 99% calcium, but the point is that vitamin D regulates the metabolism and uptake of calcium. Without it will come in and not get taken from your diet and not get taken in at all. So that's why vitamin D is good, really good for bones and muscles and all that shit. So yeah, I'm trying to think what I said. So for mood, vitamin D, huge. Personality upgrade, best version of yourself, yes sir. It's in the brain. Yes, sir. Preventing disease. For all cancers, yes, sir. Vitamin D. Prevention. Also, for heart health, preventing heart attacks, strong heart muscle, yes, sir. For blood pressure, lowering, yes, sir. For increased fasting glucose levels, resting glucose levels, increased insulin production, increased insulin sensitivity, yes, sir. Type 2 if you've got type 2 diabetes, holy shit. Focus on the fault that's not of lifestyle, not of your own. Well, studies show that if you focus vitamin D, majorly mitigate that shit, and you won't need to take the stupid insulin fucking injections all the time. You start focusing on, people don't like it when I say that, the insulin one, which is not type 1, which is not their fault. If you went all out and focused 2-3 hours every day, kind of naked, midday sun, even in Europe at the right times, you could really do a lot of damage into the inroads of the damage caused by type 1 diabetes to your health, and you wouldn't need shit. So and how's it going? Alright, that's it. Enjoy and focus on vitamin D. This is why I wrote the second book, Sunlight Sun Gazing, huge for me. I'm always going to focus on it now. Once I learn, I do it. I'm glad I don't do it unconsciously. I know it consciously, so I can help other people, and I've got my reasons. And what I said is barely scratching the surface. It's barely scratching the surface of how amazing it is. So yeah, focus, vitamin D. Get you some every single day. It's not a one-off thing, is it? Oh, another thing. I did just come off fast, and guess what? When I lose, when I do the dry fast, I lose weight too. That extra fat weight in the abdomen, and that means that there was vitamin D trapped in my fat cells, that when I do the fasting, it gets pushed into the bloodstream. So when I fast, I activate even more vitamin D too. So that's another good news for us. When you take vitamin D, or say there's, we're doing it daily, but if we fast well, even 24 hours, 30 hours, whatever kind of fast we're doing, and we're losing just that little bit of weight, that means that more vitamin D is getting pushed into the bloodstream as nature designed it for the winter time when there is no sun, no vitamin D, when we're living in Europe. That point, we have to rely on the fasted, losing weight shit to make vitamin D, and that's where the fat obese people go wrong, because they don't lose weight consistently, and they're not making that vitamin D. Jay, Rosalind, cool. Right, thanks very much for watching, Jay, and yeah, have a good day wherever you're at, guys. Enjoy yourselves. Life is short, yeah?